Good day guys, it's Jesse back again with another video. Just doing a quick comparison between the Samsung Galaxy Tab S 10.5 LTE versus the iPad Air. Um, so basically, just to show you the key differences, the Samsung Tab S is a plastic construction. It's all around plastic, and the iPad Air is a metallic construction. Samsung Tab S is apparently 10 grams lighter than the iPad Air, and so basically the Tab S weighs approximately 467 grams versus the iPad Air, which is 10 grams heavier, to 478 grams, but you really get premium quality build in the iPad Air. The battery capacity on the iPad Air has a 8800 milliamp battery, and the Samsung Tab S has a 7900 milliamp battery. So it's close on the battery level. Both have non-removable batteries, so the batteries are inbuilt. The screen, there's a main difference between the screens. The size of the Samsung Tab S has a 10.5-inch screen versus the iPad Air, which has a 9.7-inch screen. Watching videos is a delight on the Samsung Tab S, mainly because of the screen size. It's perfect for watching movies and high-resolution videos. And the Samsung Tab S has a Super AMOLED display versus the iPad Air, which has a Retina display. So basically, if you compare the Retina display, you get more natural colors from the iPad Air versus the Tab S has more vivid, and the colors more pop out a lot. The reds are deeper and the black are deeper as well. So all the colors, they really pop out on that Super AMOLED screen, and watching videos is just beautiful on the Samsung Tab S. The resolution on the Tab S is 2560 by 1600 pixels versus the iPad Air, which is 1536 by 2048 pixels. The Samsung Tab S has 3 GB RAM, which is higher than the iPad Air. The processor of the Samsung is a octa-core processor as well, versus the Apple iPad Air, which is running on a quad-core processor. And the Samsung Tab S has internal storage of only 16 GB. iPad Air, you can buy 16, 32, 64. Obviously, the prices, they burn your pocket basically. The iPad Air becomes too expensive when you go to higher storage. The Samsung Tab S, however, has expandable storage, which is really good. So it supports micro SD. There's a micro SD card slot, and it supports up to 128 GB of expandable storage of micro SD card. The cameras on both are really good. The Samsung has an 8 megapixel camera, and the Apple has a 5 megapixel camera. There is a flash on the Samsung, a rare flash, but the Apple iPad Air don't have flash. The thing is that the camera on the iPad Air is really good quality. So when you compare both the qualities of the camera, I feel the iPad Air is as good as the Samsung, even though Samsung has the 8 megapixel versus the 5 megapixel on the iPad Air. The front camera on the Samsung is a 2.1 megapixel camera versus the iPad Air, which has a 1.2 megapixel camera. Now, despite of having a high configuration, the Samsungs are usually running the Exynos processor, which is really fast, and it scores really high on the benchmarks with 3 GB of RAM, whereas the iPad Air sort of lacks on the RAM as well as the processor speed. However, both the tablets are running different operating systems. The Apple iPad Air runs the iOS 7, and the Samsung Tab S is running the Android 4.4 KitKat, which is a souped up version, because the Samsung basically has the touchwiz, and after using the Tab S for approximately 1 month, if you have a lot of apps running in the background, the Tab S can get laggy. It lags a bit. That's a problem with all Samsung phones as well, Note 3 as well, Note 2, Note 1. I've tried all the Samsung products, and it lags a bit, and you cannot compare the stock Android version to the touchwiz version of Samsung, because I'm using a Nexus 5, and the Android the stock Android is really much better than using a touchwiz. However, I'm using mainly for work, so I don't really care, because I'm not playing games and all those stuff, so it doesn't really matter to me. But if you're buying something for gaming and running a lot of apps, and doing a lot of multitasking, the touchwiz can get a lot laggy and slow. So the iOS is buttery smooth. The transition is very instant. The operating system is easy to adapt to. So my nephew, he's just 5 years old, and he's been using the iPad since he was a year and a half old. So the iPads are basically really the iOS operating system is really easy to use and adapt to, and whereas the Android is for someone who wants more from operating system, basically. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to open file system, you could probably go with a stock Android tablet rather than buying Samsung tablet. If you're okay with touchwiz and you're fine with a bit of lag when you have a lot of apps running on the background, then only you should buy the Samsung Tab S. And it does heat up a bit if you're playing games. I don't play games at all on my Tab S. I have tried. It does warm up a bit, but it's not too hot. So there are a lot of issues. A lot of people complaining about how Tab S is, the Tab S is heating up a lot because they're playing like full-on games and shit. But so far I don't play much games, so I haven't tried that bit. But I think it might be a problem with some tablets, but mine didn't get that hot when I tried a few games. But I'm not using this tablet for gaming, so I can't really comment much on the gaming aspect and the heat aspect of the Samsung tablet, because it's all plastic body. So if it gets very hot, it might actually deface the plastic at the back. Whereas the Apple iPad, my nephew uses the iPad Air, and I have the iPad Mini as well, and my nephew plays a lot of intensive games, and it heats up a bit, but not that too much, because it has metal backing, so it feels a lot cold, and the heat is not a problem with the iPad Air. So yeah, the Apple has Wi-Fi, and so does the Samsung Tab S. It supports basically 802.11, the A, B, G, NA, and the AC. Both have GPS and Bluetooth 4.0, the latest version, and there is no NFC support on the iPad Air, and infrared. There's infrared support on the Tab S, and iPad Air doesn't have infrared. So infrared is good because you can actually control your set-top box or your television with the infrared sensor. So that's something good that Samsung actually added on, and maybe Apple should try and add on as well. Because when you use tablet at home and you want to control your television and your set-top box, you can just use your tablet as well, which makes it really easy. Yeah, so both have headphone jacks, 3.5 mm, and so basically, if you're buying the cellular version of the iPad, you'll have a nano SIM card slot, and if you buy the Samsung Tab S, then you will have a micro SIM card slot for the Tab S. Mine is the LTE version, and it supports phone calling as well. So I can use my Tab S to make phone calls, whereas with the iPad Air, I cannot make phone calls. So that's one of the negatives of the iPad Air. Maybe they should start supporting that as well, because it makes sense if you're running out of the Apple, if you're using iPhone and you run out of battery now and then, you could actually use the tablet to make phone calls. So yeah, both have accelerometer, compass, magnetometer, gyroscope, and they do not have temperature sensor and a few other sensors. But yeah, overall, I am pretty satisfied with the Tab S. The only issue I have so far is the lag on the touchwiz. When you have the multi-window, it lags a bit, and when you have a lot of apps running on the background, it tends to lag a bit. The battery life on the Tab S is really good. The Apple, as you guys, if you look at other reviews on the iPad Air, the battery life on the iPad Air is just really good. It can run for 4 or 5 days without a charge for average user. And the Samsung Tab S is the same as well. It can run for 3 days on one charge. So far the battery life on the Tab S, I'm really satisfied with the battery. And yeah, and if you don't use the tablet and the battery doesn't drop a lot. So basically the charging time on the battery on the Samsung Tab S is it takes a bit longer. It takes approximately, I think it takes 4 hours to get the battery full charged up to 100% from say 8%. So the iPad Air charges a bit, I think it charges within 2.5 hours. So the iPad Air charges a bit quickly because I think it has a lightning port, and this has a micro USB to USB adapter to charge, and it does take a while. But so far the battery life on the Tab S has been good as well. So it really depends on what you want to buy. If you want to buy, if you don't, if you want to use it for gaming and a lot of apps, I think iOS has a lot of good apps, and Android does lag on the apps. I prefer the stock Android experience with my Nexus 5 than the touchwiz experience on the Tab S. The one key difference, the one main reason I choose to buy Tab S is because it has mouse support. I can actually use my Bluetooth Apple mouse. I use my mouse and keyboard for work, and it does. It's really good. I have another video, and I've shown in the video how you can pair a Bluetooth mouse with your tablet, which I think everyone knows how to do it anyway. So with the Apple iPad Air, it doesn't support mouse. So that's one negative on the iPad Air, major negative for some people who like to use mouse as well. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like the video, hit the like button. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching.